Worked the last V here into the last set of cluster stitches. We're going to skip that last cluster there. We're going to skip the 2 stitches here, the 2 front post stitches, and I'm going to work a V stitch into the next one, which is a double, a chain 1 and a double. We then skip 2 stitches and work a V into the next stitch. Skip the last 2 stitches, and we're going to do as we did at the beginning, working 2 V's into the corner. So we've got a double, a chain and a double, a chain, and then we do another V stitch, which is a double, a chain and a double into the same corner space. Skip 2 stitches, work a V stitch into the next one, I'm going to skip 2 and work a V stitch, and then we skip the 2 stitches and the cluster stitch from the previous row. So we've got the 2 front posts there. We're going to skip those 2 and this first cluster, and we work a V. I've lost the loop off there. That's it. Skip the 2 stitches, skip the cluster, work a V stitch into that first cluster stitch there, chain 1 and another double to form that first V. We now do exactly the same as we did on the first side. We're going to skip the cluster and the first double. We're going to do a V in between those 2 front post doubles. And again, in between the 2 clusters, another V stitch, and then a V stitch in between the 2 front post stitches there. Just carry on all the way along each side and working the corners as we've worked on this row here. I'll not carry on all the way around because it just makes the video a little bit too long, but as you get to the very last stitch, you will join into the first stitch with a standing stitch, snip off the yarn and fasten off. On the original blanket, the V-stitch that I've just worked would have been worked in the dark brown, as you can see there. The next row we're going to work is a shell row, and for this one I'm going to use a bright pink. On the original sampler that I've been working through the tutorials, I would have been using the Begonia for this one. So again, we're going to start in the corner space, so it's the space between the 2 V stitches that we had on the last row, and we're going to start with a single crochet into that chain space, and that's all we do in that particular one. Into this first V stitch here, we're going to work 7 doubles all into this one space, and that will form the shell. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. We're going to skip the first half of the V stitch here and I'm going to do a single into the next V. We go straight over to the next V stitch and work 7 doubles into that stitch. It's 4, 5, 6 and 7, and then into the next V we're going to work a single. So the single crochets are going to be above where we'd got the cluster rows here, and there we've got the single, and then the shells are now going to fall into the V stitch that we made in the 2 front post double crochet stitches. Again, we just do 7 doubles, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. We're just going to work all the way along, working 7 doubles into the V stitch and then 2 into the next, 7 and 2 all the way along, and I'll see you when we get to the end of this row. Get to the last single here, we've got the corner 2 V's. We're going to work 7 doubles into the first V, and then a single into the center chain between the 2 V's, and then we're going to start the next side with 7 doubles into that first V stitch, which is the corner V. 4, 5, 6 and 7, and then we go into the next V with a single, and then work as we did before, the 7 doubles into the next V stitch, followed by a single in the next one, 7 doubles into the next one, and so on until you get to the end of the row. We've worked the final single along this last side. We're going to work 7 doubles into the first V of the corner. 1, 2, 3, oops, start that one again. 3, 4, 5 and 6, the very last one, 7, and then I'm going to join into that first single that we did in the corner with a slip stitch, cut off the yarn, pull through and fasten off. We're now ready for row 27. Row 27, we're going to start in the second shell here, which is that we've got 2 shells as the corner stitches. We're going to start in this one here after the single crochet there. We're going to work back post half doubles around the shells. So to start with a standing back post double, we go sorry, a back post half double, we're going to yarn over, and then we go behind the stitch as we've done before, pick up the loop, pull through, and we're now going to work through all 3 of the loops on the hook, and that forms the standing half double. We're going to work a half double, just move that tail of yarn there. We're going to work a half double now around each of the doubles that form the shell here. So yarn over, behind, come from behind the stitch in front of the stitch, pick up the loop, yarn over and pull through all 3. We're going to do that around each of the doubles on this shell. So you'll have 7 back post half doubles around each of the shells. We now skip the single that lies between the 2 shells there, and we're going to go straight over to the next shell, and again we're going to work back post half doubles around each of the 7 doubles. So each shell all the way along is exactly the same, where we've got the back post double around each one, skipping the single that lies between the 2 shells. We're going to use that on the next row. So if you want to just carry on, pause the video and work the back post half doubles around each of the stitches in the shell along this row. Just pop the pink fabric again under this, under the work, so that you can see better the white stitches there that are the back post half doubles that we're doing around these. So I'll see you when we get to the end of this row. Corner, we're going to again skip this single here, and we're going to go straight onto the back post half doubles on the other shell that lies in the corner. So each stitch all the way around in the shells, all of the doubles will all have a back post half double worked into each stitch. And when you get round to the beginning, around here, we will just join after the last back post double on this shell, just join with a slip stitch into that first back post half double, and I'll meet you when we get to the end of the round. Now on to row 28. On this row we're doing V-stitches again. On this one I'm going to use green because it's going to form the leaves again for the following row, which is flowers. So join with a slip knot onto the hook, and we're going to work this next row here that we've done in the green. So we're going to work again the 2 V's in the corner. So on the previous row we just worked the back post half doubles. On this row we're going to work into the single from row 26. So row 27 was the half doubles. So to do the V, we just do a standing double into the single from the row with the shells. Chain 1 and another double into that same stitch. That's going to form the first V. Chain 1 for the corner space, and then we're going to do another V into that same stitch. We're now going to work into the middle 3. Oh, sorry, I didn't do a chain there. For the second V, chain 1 and then the double. We're going to work into the middle 3 of the back post half doubles that we worked on the last row. The first stitch is going to be hidden. This stitch here is number 2, so we're going to do a single in 3, 4 and 5, and that leaves 2 stitches that we're going to skip. We're going to work a V stitch into the single that we did between the shells, and then again we're going to skip the first 2. The first one you can't see, so we skip this one here and we work 1 single into the middle 3 singles, into the middle 3 half doubles from the last row, then straight over into that single from row 27, sorry, from row 26, and work a V into that single. Skip this first one that you can see here, work a single into the middle 3 back post half doubles, and then we go straight on to the V stitch in the next single. We're just going to carry on all the way along, working the same. V stitch into the single that lies between the 2 shells, and then 1 single in each of the middle 3 back post half doubles from the last round, and I'll see you when we get to the end of this one.